Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Dr. Grover. You can call me Sumit, my first name. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist in the United States of America and an HCPC registered clinical psychologist of the United Kingdom. Topic of my discussion today is going to be loss, grief, and bereavement. Loss or death of someone, a family member, or a close friend, or relative, or also a loss in a relationship or of a relationship, or financial loss or loss of business or job. I chose this topic because recently, in the month of March, I lost my father. He was 94 years of age, had a very good, healthy life, no disease, no pain. He left peacefully without pain. But even though he was 94, never wanted him to leave. Nobody wants the parents to leave. Previous to that, I lost my mother in 2006. And in 2016, I lost my husband. It was a 14 years of marriage, which ended because he died. He was young, 47 years of age, and that was a tragedy. He died in an accident. Whenever we have these losses, it's very hard for everybody, including even if it's a loss of a relationship, to go through it. The first loss is always hard. It is like somebody has hit you unexpectedly. It is a turmoil because you don't know how to deal with it. It's very hard to believe. It can take months together, years together to even accept it or give closure. As far as coping with loss is concerned, a model first introduced by a Swiss psychiatrist, Elizabeth Ross, DABDA, DABDA. The first alphabet of D is disbelieve, as we do not accept and not try to believe that this has happened. The second alphabet, anger, is we are very angry at the loss and we say, why me? This was not fair. We blame others for the loss. We are not ready to accept it. Then comes bargaining. Usually, bargaining is in case of loss of relationships. It's more about we try to compromise if separation has happened. We are finding hard to accept the rejection, especially when both the parties are not in agreement to end the relationship. So we try to compromise, we want to make it work, we try various things to make it work. That's bargaining. Then comes depression. Depression mostly comes across with people who are going through a terminal disease, like a last stage of pancreatic cancer or a silent cancer, and it's a terminating disease or illness, and one knows that they're going to go. So that can lead to depression and slowly come to acceptance. Acceptance can come in many ways. One, for some, they give closure to the past. They come to radical acceptance, conclusion that the situation is present. It is because of many decisions of the past. Repeating some radical acceptance statements like the present moment is the best moment, whatever it is, or the present moment is all I have control over, and I cannot change what has already happened. These kind of radical acceptance statements, if we rehearse million trillion times in a day, can help us to accept the things the way they are. And acceptance makes the problem lighter. and we are able to solve the problem or give closure. In case of a death of someone, we often can accept it, but we cannot give closure for the rest of the life. But the difference is, like what I noticed with my husband in 2016 when he left home to go for boating in a river and never came back because he drowned. It was a tragedy. Of course, I also followed the entire theory of DABDA. But the difference was that years after together, I came to a point when I now think about him. I don't cry. I don't cry. But thinking about him and the memories I've had make me smile. I smile and laugh at his humor and jokes. And I come to certain conclusions. Oh, if he would have been there, he would have done this way. And this thought process really helps when you lose your parents. Parents who are giving direction to their kids, even if they're adults, they remain kids for them, right? So we think that what will dad do, or what will mom, how will she direct me if this situation would have been there when they are alive. So the acceptance happens in a different way with the death of somebody, because we cannot give closure to the death of our parents. We want to live with them forever and their memories. In case of divorce or end of relationship, acceptance comes when we are ready to accept each other's mistakes. Or maybe we are ready to accept that we are not in love anymore, we are out of love. We are different people. We change our perspective towards ourselves and our partner. That is that as when we met, we were having fun together, we were ready to roll the ball of the life together, but now his or her objectives, what he or she wants from life, is different than what I want out of my life. This kind of approach and understanding helps us to end the relation in good books, in a good way, with less anger, and of course spending less money in the courts to have this divorce and make it mutual, and with more acceptance. But don't forget, being human beings, we are always ready to restart or maybe reborn anytime. We are always ready to restart, even though we do not know where to start from. But these losses teach us a lot when we are going through. And whatever we have learned out of these experiences, that learning comes up again when we need it in a certain similar situation. That day, I was sitting back and I made the list of the people whom I have lost in my life, including that in my family, starting from my great grandmother, who died when I was 12 years of age. And then quite a lot of family tree, including my mother, my husband, my husband's brother. And both of them was a tragic death. My husband drowned, his brother had last stage pancreatic cancer, and he left in 6 months' time, very young. My grandmother, my mother-in-law, whom I was very close to, and then my father. I realized recently at the death of my father that I've learned quite a lot from my previous losses, how to cope with it in a better way, one after the other. That now I know how to support myself in a better way. To create or to start again sometimes we have to either recap how we coped in that similar situation. In case of relationships, acceptance, and then we have to clear out our mind and the baggage what we are carrying. This is something what I'm talking about, the loss of relationship in case of some people who lose a relationship in a very traumatic, very bad way, when domestic violence is involved, abuse is involved. For them, when it's abuse or traumatic stress disorder involved, we as psychologists prefer or refer EMDR. EMDR is eye movement desensitization and processing therapy. It usually works well with trauma, abuse, or traumatic past experiences to which we have not given closure, but they are lying pending on the back of our mind. EMDR helps in giving closure to the past, and when completed with mindfulness, dialectical behavior therapy, lead to transformative healing. When it comes to coping with the death of somebody, the first year, their first anniversary, their first birthday, and their first death anniversary, when it comes, we rehearse in our mind the way they left. It's a process. It's a grieving process. We have to give time to ourselves. Anything we try to make it quick does not help. And crying in front of others, especially your therapist, is not a sign of weakness. It's a process, it's an emotion which we have to take it out. We do recommend structured bereavement or grieving, especially when we have to go to work. In some cases, at some jobs, we don't get more than 3 to 5 days of grieving or bereavement. We have to go back to work. We can't stop working. So the best way is to choose your own time, whether in the morning before going to work or coming back in the evening. Think about that person you've lost. Whenever, think about the memories, miss the person, cry and grieve in your own set time. It really helps. Your rest of your day will be a little better, and you'll be functioning, work functioning, and personal functioning will be better. Apart from this make some small objectives for yourself and goals and some behavioral techniques. Join a gym, maybe join yoga, group therapy. Of course, individual therapy helps too. Commit to yourself to go through this model, DABDA model, and rehearse the acceptance radical statements and come to a conclusion in the end that I will be okay. It's a process which I am following. I have to feel okay. I am left with no option. I have to survive. I have to be a survivor. I am left with no option. Life is good, and life cannot be dependent on certain people, that if they leave the world, you cannot manage or cope. And life is not dependent on certain relationship. Life is a whole concept. It's about you. And that's the acceptance. And then you will notice time goes on, nothing changes around you, same job, people remain the same, but you will realize you have changed with these losses. You are never the same. And you're ready to accept what is given to you and to accept yourself. Self-acceptance helps. It helps a lot. I read a very interesting book, Everything Happens for a Reason. And by Mira Kirshenbaum, and another book by Emily Griffin, First Comes Love. These two books really taught me how to have a different perspective towards losses. Good support from these two books I got. Once again, I will say it was a pleasure to record this piece of work for you. And do come back to me with questions, discussions. Your name can be confidential, and I will surely answer. And also, once again, criticize me, give me a feedback, help me to bring about changes. Let me get connected to you. And please only like my video if you feel connected to me. For me, connection is very important. I will come back to you again with the next topic. Till then, have a good day, have a good evening, have a good life. Bye bye.